So basically in this session, we are covering this part, installing and configuring the core components. For the same, we are having one machine, which is delivery controller. Let me increase the memory to 6 GB means 6144 MB. Okay. Now it is 6 GB and 2 processor will be fine. Okay, looks good. Now let me power it on again. And you guys are quietly familiar with this, na? Like VMware Workstation Pro application. If you have any
Yes.
other application, you can use that as well, but it's quite
I
handy.
have a question here. Does it support that VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox?
It will support virtual Oracle Box, but I'm not sure for the hypervisor. Why? Because VirtualBox itself a hypervisor, right? And after that, we have to install again Gen server as a hypervisor on hypervisor. So I'm not sure for
Hmm.
that part, but VMware Workstation Pro supports that thing.
Okay.
So you can try out, no issue in that. You can check anytime.
Okay. Because I do have that VMware workstation, but I don't have the key. So
Key
that's the reason I
I
wanted.
can provide you the key for this version, which is I am using.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I'm
Thank you.
using where it is 15.5. Okay, I
Yeah.
will provide you
Okay.
both the setup and key both. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
Okay. So first, what we have to do, we have to log in into the machine with domain admin account. Okay. So in my case, it's ms185426. This is my login name, and let me enter the password. You can't sign in credential. Why? It's ms185426. It's fine. Mhm, mhm, mhm. That's not allowing me. Same credentials I am logging to my domain controller. It's ms185426. That is fine. Caps lock is on, off. It is off. Okay, I think we have to perform some troubleshooting. Let me check why this is happening. Where is the DSCP scope? I think this machine is not getting IP address from my scope. That might be a probable issue. Hmm? My DSCP scope is disabled actually. Why? Let me authorize. Already present in the directory. Okay, that was the network issue. Okay,
you. Okay.
and these are the basic troubleshooting that I am working. You might have already worked on similar issues at its ADMI NIS administrator. Now, what I have to do, I have two options. Either I can, what is going on? In the meantime, we can check this as well. No, not getting IP address. Okay, I think now we have some IP address here. It is 10.50, so this is fine. Now we can log in with domain user account. Okay, so this time it works. So actually, those kind of issues you will face in production as well. Like multiple times, user will report they are unable to connect connect to the virtual machine. So sometimes, or probably, majority of those kind of issues is due to network related or DNS related problems only. Okay, so now simply just what we have to do, we just have to mount that ISO media. So let me do that. The virtual apps and desktop. Okay. So this is the ISO media. You just have to install it. So we are getting two options here. Like either we can virtualize application and desktop both. Okay. So if you have some requirement to virtualize applications only, in that case, you can select first option. But for practicals and for learning perspective, we have to virtualize both the things, right? So we will
Yeah.
continue with the virtual apps and desktop both. So
Okay.
let me click on start here. So now it is asking like how do you want to configure this server? So as we are configuring the delivery controller, so we will select delivery controller. Apart from that, you can also create a separate virtual machine or server for Citrix Studio, license server, storefront or director. Those for those core components, you can select separate virtual machines, and in production, ideally we always create a separate virtual machine for a separate service, right? But in our test lab, we will configure all the core components on single machine itself. Why? Because we have to manage our hardware as well, right? So let me click on the delivery controller. So as usual, we have to accept the license. If you want to read, you can read, but I'm not interested. So simply next. So now, as I told you, those are the core components, right? So I'm going to select every component for this machine only. But in production, you always have to configure separate server for separate service. Okay. So as I told you into the prerequisites, like SQL server will be always required for database. So in this ISO, SQL Express server 2019 is already there. Okay. So we have to configure SQL server in this machine as well, and Windows remote assistant. Basically Windows remote assistance is a feature. With the help of that, you can easily take a remote, or you can easily take a mirror copy of end user desktop for troubleshooting perspective. Okay, any doubt? Hello, am I audio?
No doubt so far. Thank you.
So these are the most important port numbers that you must have to remember for your interview preparation or for your certification, whatever you are planning. Okay. So for delivery controller, the port number will be 80, 89, and 443. For director, port number 80 and 443. And these are the most important port numbers for license server, 27,000. Okay. And 7279. So those port number generally asked by the interviewers. Okay. So you must have to remember all the port numbers. And those port numbers should be open into the firewall to make communication between a delivery controller to director or to the Citrix Studio or to the Active Directory component. Okay, so these port numbers should be open into the firewall. So simply click on next. So okay, we have two options to configure those firewall rules. Either we can select on automatically, so it will automatically open those firewall ports into the firewall, or either if you want to open manually you can select manually, but after the installation you have to create or open each port number manually. Okay, so I'm not going to perform that task manually, so I'm selecting automatically. It will automatically open those port number into the firewall. So simply click on next. So here is the summary what we have selected and what are the prerequisites and what are the core components. It is taking time, wait for it. Okay, so this is the installation directory, C program file Citrix, and these are the prerequisites which will install at the time of installation, like .NET Framework, SQL Server, Microsoft Internet Information Services. So do you guys have any idea what is IISH and why it is used?
That's basically a web server.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, to you make use of that. I think in Citrix environment we have the web server. Used to be web server. Now it is called, I think, the storefront.
Yes, so basically it is used to publish a web page for an end user, web server IIS, right? And storefront server will use that feature to deploy or to publish a web page.
Okay.
And this is the feature Windows Remote Assistant, and this is used for remote troubleshooting, and these are the port numbers. Okay, and the core components as I already explained you. Simply click on
Okay.
install. So now it is showing 20 minutes remaining, but it will never complete in 20 minutes. It's my experience. So it will ask you to reboot the server multiple times during the installation, and after every reboot you have to log in again with the same credentials, okay, from which you have started the installation. After that you have nothing to do. It will auto resume the installation after reboot, but user account should be the same from which you have initiated the installation. Okay,
Okay.
I think after 2 or 3 minutes it will ask for the reboot. Let's wait for it. I'm putting you guys on a mute. I will be back in 2 minutes. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so it is still installing .NET 4.8. After that, it will ask for reboot. So as I told you earlier, it will take some time. No issue in that. So what is your planning after that training? Like, do you have any offer to work with Citrix, or you are just preparing for the Citrix?
Well, I'm preparing for the Citrix, and later, after I'm done with this,
Mm-hmm.
probably I'll hunt for the Citrix job.
Okay.
That's what the plan is.
And have you completed your MCSA certification in Microsoft or MCSE? Anything you have done?
No, I haven't done that to my MCSA also.
Okay.
It goes along with this, right? I mean, you have to have it, must have or good to have.
No, no, it is good to have, but for Citrix certification like CCA5, it must have for Citrix job.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now it is asked to reboot, so just click on this close pop-up and it will automatically reboot the system. After that, you just have to log in with the same credential. Okay.
Okay.
And you are basically from which part from India?
I'm from Hyderabad city, Hyderabad.
Okay.
And you're based in?
Basically, I am from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh.
Okay, MP.
Yeah. It will auto initiate the installation. Okay. Nothing to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I have a question.
Hmm.
When they released the version called 5.5 and 6.0 version, later they introduced
Hmm.
6.5. That time, the the cloud,
Hmm.
uh, the cloud was not there. I mean,
All right.
eh,
On that time, they guys was operating in LAN only, local area network.
yes. And what do we see? I mean, if there are clouds available now,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's Azure or whether it's AWS, so
Mm-hmm.
the applications are accessible from any part of the world because based on internet cloud, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you see Citrix downfall gonna happen in this perspective, or will the Citrix will be same in demand?
Why? My means my question is that why you have asked that question. Look, if we are talking about the cloud, right? So
Yeah.
Just suppose if we are talking about the cloud, that means we are talking about the data centers, right? Right. Nothing is hosted
Yeah,
over the cloud. It is not possible, right? Something is hosted o- over the data center, and that particular application or desktop you are accessing over the internet. This is what cloud, right? So
yeah,
just suppose if you are using Google Cloud or AWS or whatever the companies multiples are there, right? All those companies have created some of their data centers somewhere over the globe,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
those application you are accessing over the internet, for end users, for non-technical guys, it is cloud. But for us, it is data center. And we are preparing for the data center. We will operating the cloud from backend, not from the front end. Front end is just a web-based URL for end user, right? You just
yeah,
have to
yeah,
put the credentials, and after that he will be able to access the virtual machine. But somewhere that virtual machine is hosted over the hardware itself, right?
that's
Hypervisors
right.
will be there, servers will be there. So that is what Citrix is always in demand. Citrix and VMware always will be into the demand. Why? Because to host a service or application or any data, any file server, you will be requiring data center, and data centers are running on those hypervisors, Citrix or VMware.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Whatever means AWS, like if we are talking about the AWS, Amazon Web Services, so they do not have their own hypervisor. They are using either from Citrix or from VMware.
yeah. And also, when Citrix started their services, basically they were only into the application
Yes,
side. Now
right.
they have come to the desktop side also. So
Yes.
what do you see? I mean, are too many people are using desktop? I mean, people started using desktop because you're going to every PC and installing the software, or maybe you're pushing through the SCCM, or I mean, I see the good concept of the desktop. I mean, you don't have to do much. You have to just log in and put your password to get your profile on
Mhm.
the screen. So, what do you see the future of desktop compared to application side?
Look, application will not always works, right? Desktop will be there for non-technical users. Like just suppose you have multiple teams in your organization. HR team will be there. Your finance team will be there, or any other team, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
for some user, you must have to share the desktop, right? Because if you share application only, just suppose if I publish Adobe Reader only, right, to end user. So where is the data? How user will open the files into the Adobe Reader, right? Some workspace will be required. Yeah,
yeah,
but for the application perspective, for us, like for a technical guys, use we can virtualize RDP, like remote desktop services, to take a remote console of servers, right? Or any other
yeah,
remote tool, those kind of, or like if we are talking about the finance kind of thing, we can virtualize ERP application or Oracle application will be there. But for
mhm,
non-technical users, some workspace will be required, right?
yes,
We have some users, like just suppose if we are having some SQL developers, so for them we can easily virtualize the SQL server only. They will connect and they will uh, work on it, like whatever the work is required. For them,
yeah,
no desktop will be required, but for majority of user, desktop will be always required. Why? Because we have to configure multiple things. Now we have to configure Outlook, Teams, then any other application required. So, and how we publish the applications to end users desktop, like you are talking about the workspace, Citrix workspace, right? So for the same, multiple companies are using BigFix for patching and deployment purpose, because BigFix is a big tool and it can easily manage more than 5 lakhs of computers, right?
okay,
And on other hand, we have some limitations with SCCM. Why? Because SCCM is still not compatible with Linux and Mac OS. On other hand, we can easily manage Mac device and Linux device from BigFix. So that is the plus point of BigFix. Why companies are preferring BigFix.
And what about the Big Six product? I mean, is it a Microsoft product or any other company? Third party?
BigFix is a third party tool. Na? Earlier
Okay.
it was from IBM BigFix, but
Okay.
now BigFix has been acquired by SCL. So now it comes from SCL. Now SCL has
Okay.
all the rights of BigFix.
Okay. Okay.
So guys, I have some limitation on this Zoom meeting. It is prompting me like 4 minutes only remaining. So what I will do after this call, I will immediately share another link to you. Please join from that link, and I will
Sure.
keep my screen as it is. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
As it will take some time, like as you can see, it is installing the SQL server, and SQL server installation is quite heavy, right? So it will
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
more than 3 or 4 minutes. So what I'm doing, I'm just disconnecting this call and I am sharing another invite to you within a second. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, buddy.